Manchester United 3, Arsenal 2, and I honestly don't know what Michael Carrick is cooking, but whatever it is, keep it coming for the rest of the season because at this rate, United is almost certainly guaranteed to make it to Europe. We are now fourth in the table after what was guaranteed to be a doomsday spell of two games against City and league leaders Arsenal, and I honestly felt like these two were the kind of games that basically Michael Carrick should be using to sort of settle into the United job, and his real test will begin from the Fulham game at home next weekend. But he has made short work of Manchester City, of Guardiola's Manchester City, and then followed it up with an immaculate performance against Arsenal. Both performances were obviously so different. Against Manchester City, it was a game of complete dominance. United had an XG close to 4, which essentially was to say that the two goals that they scored did not flatter them at all. And against Arsenal, it was absolutely opposite. The XG of less than 1 against Arsenal's XG of I think close to 2 or like 1.6 or whatever showed that United had the maturity to not concede more than what Arsenal had to offer. They conceded from chances that were again not extremely convincing. Arsenal had most of the ball in the first half, but from the little chances that they got, from the 3 shots on target that they had, they scored all 3 goals, which is not a look that we have seen from United in so long. And just to add in a word about Michael Carrick, now I mean, call it whatever you want, manager's bounce, call it fresh, like whatever, fresh feelings about the dressing room. Perhaps there was an issue of toxicity about Amorim or whatever it was. Michael Carrick's record as a manager is a few games with Middlesbrough and some bit of experience here and there managing the United under 21s, but nothing, absolutely nothing to say that he's a top class manager. And yet, he goes out in his first spell at Manchester United. He absolutely clobbers Mikel Arteta's Arsenal and Unai Emery's Villarreal and gets a draw against Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea and follows it up with two of probably the most difficult games a manager could have been posed with in his second spell at United, and absolutely dominates Pep Guardiola's City yet again, and then gets an incredible result against obviously Arteta's Arsenal as he did yesterday. This is out of this world. Like, you cannot make this up. Michael Carrick is set to probably give United the Champions League, and we're not going to go into discussions about whether he should be given the full-time job. It is way too early for that. We've been there, we've done that with Ole. Obviously, did not work out very well. But at this rate, Michael Carrick is making a very strong case for himself. If this string of results continue going into the summer, United will be guaranteed a Champions League position because for the first time, we are fourth, and we are fourth not by goal difference, we are fourth not by anything else. We are convincingly fourth, even by just a point. Even though it's just a point, we are fourth in the table and in the Champions League position. The most incredible aspect of yesterday's game against Arsenal, it has to be the defense. Despite Lisandro Martinez conceding an own goal from what was obviously a mistake on his end, he was trying to clear the ball, he was not able to do that. Arsenal were excellent in the first 30 minutes. Maybe a case of United giving them more respect than they deserve because we barely had any of the ball. It's almost as if you're playing a god team and you had admitted to your fate of maybe accepting a draw at the Emirates. I mean, that is how we were playing. We had like 25% possession in the first half hour, in literally the first 31 minutes, after which we conceded the goal, and then things started to shift. Zubimendi, on one hand, could have been the hero. He almost scored a brilliant goal from a set piece. Declan Rice, excellent ball, but somehow Senel Amens, in what was like a De Gea-esque save, managed to clobber the ball away from goal. That was, I feel like, the turning point because after that, their performance sort of dwindled once they eventually managed to get the goal. But Zubimendi, from almost becoming a hero at one end, obviously became a villain at the other because he did what Shkodran Mustafi and Socrates used to do back in the day when United won in 2017-18, again in a very similar fashion, 3-1 3-1 at the Emirates. They basically handed United a goal on a platter, which is what Zubimendi did. And Mbeumo, to his credit, that was not an easy finish. He had the composure to shift it onto his weaker foot and then put home very calmly what was a beautiful goal. But the other two goals were absolute bangers. Like, what is Patrick Dorgu been cooking under Michael Carrick, man? Like, this is a guy who should run into empty spaces and not find people to pass it into. And then for him to have the composure, the lead up to the goal was also quite brilliant. United had a good 120 seconds of maintaining the ball, maintaining calm possession after the second half resumed. Patrick Dorgu came up with something absolutely critical, absolutely clutch. This guy was not good in the first half, mind you. He was very substandard because he's not good when three players press onto him. With the kind of pace that he has, he's great at running into empty spaces. Off late, he's been delivering some good balls into the box, but not when people clatter onto him, which is exactly what Arsenal did in the first half. They were man marking to the core, and United did not have a lot of open spaces. United was struggling to get the ball away. At the beginning of the second half, when they had that bit of spell where they maintained possession, Dorgu came up with something special, something clinical, something that we've seen him do against Manchester City and in the past against Newcastle. And this guy is making a very firm case for being that left wing prime contender at Manchester United, which is not great news for Mason Mount, which I would have said was not great news for Matthias Cunha, who came on and did something that a lot of United fans are not going to forget, are now going to forget for the rest of their lives. That goal is exactly the kind of goal that Cunha had been signed up for. Brighton was a good goal. This against Arsenal at the Emirates to give United the first win that any side has had against Arsenal at the Emirates this season. 24 games without a draw or a defeat, or I believe there was one draw perhaps, but 24 games without defeat at the Emirates. And then Cunha comes up after conceding in the 85th minute when everyone believed a draw was a fair result, a draw was what we were going to have to go home with. He comes home and does what Cunha does best, smashes home a goal, a ridiculously beautiful curler from outside the box, and reminds us what Manchester United is all about. This is the stuff of dreams. I mean, going into this spell of two games, if you look at the table right now, if United would not have gotten a single point out of it, if given the change of managers, given the disappointment around Amorim's sacking that a lot of fans had, the unsettling feeling about the club, if United had defeats in both those games, we would have been 12th. That is how competitive the league is. There is a 4 point gap. If United would have drawn both of those games, we would have been below 7th, joint 8th perhaps. And right now, at the moment, with 2 wins out of 2 in 2 of the most improbable games in 2 of the most contrasting, polarizing fashions, one we dominate, the other we played back and we took all of our chances. United is convincingly fourth in the table. This is the stuff of dreams. Let's not forget the one very, very critical aspect of United's performances in both these games that played a huge role. Sure, Cunha and Dorgu scored bangers. Sure, Fernandes was critical. Kobe Mainoo has been definitely an improvement in the United midfield. There's a long ways to go for him to cement himself there. He's young. These are only the first 2 starts that he's gotten. Sure, all of this worked out. The attacking phase was very good. Mbumo comes up trump against critical sides like Tottenham. He scored against Tottenham, by the way. He scored against City. He scored against Arsenal. He's also scored against Liverpool. What am I doing? I'm forgetting the second-minute goal that he scored against Liverpool. He scored against 4 of the supposed top 6 in the Premier League. Sure, United was excellent attackingly. But what about United's defense? What about the fact that Lisandro Martinez has been absolutely clinical at the back? Harry Maguire, who did not, by the way, who did not lose a single duel yesterday. Harry Maguire and Lisandro Martinez, who was absolutely critical. There was not one moment where Gyökeres came on and felt like he was powering over Lisandro Martinez. There's not one moment where Harry Maguire looked weak at the back, despite of being as slow as he is. He was in utter and complete control. And Arsenal, I believe, is in a way the best of both worlds. They will offer the attacking threat that City had, and they will play sort of a low block when they're defending with, I feel, arguably two of the best centre halves in the league. And United was able to find a way through that in a structured way, not on counter attacks. Obviously, the first goal was a mistake at the back, which is discounted, but with the kind of clinical finishing that Cunha and Dorgu delivered, this was a structural breaking apart of one of the best, if not the best defense that the Premier League has this season. They were looking to concede less than 15 goals to try and go for Mourinho's record. We scored 3 against them. 20% of the goals, 20% of all goals that they've conceded in 23, 22 games this season came in a single game at their home. United absolutely crushed Arsenal. Now, what does this mean for United going forward? I think after the exhilaration, the drama, the passion, the all of this adrenaline simmers down, I feel like United need to go back to the drawing board. And I mean, honestly, the way Michael Carrick conducts himself on the pitch side during the games, in the press conferences, this does not look like a manager who is getting ahead of himself. I feel like the squad might change a little at the back of Cunha's absolutely impressive performances and the requirements that Fulham at home, Everton, West Ham, and Tottenham, which are the next 4 games, they bring the requirements that they bring, which is essentially not to hold back, play extremely technical games. It is basically to penetrate a low block, to get through defenses which will mainly try to defend and attack on the counter possibly. United will have to change things around, but they will be expected to win more now than ever at the back of these 2 games against obviously Manchester City and league leaders Arsenal. It's going to be a big spell for United. 15 games to go in the season. They are fourth at the moment, not joint on points. They are singularly fourth, just 1 point ahead of Chelsea. And it was not that far back that this trifecta of Liverpool, Chelsea, and United were dropping points every single weekend. It was absolutely unbelievable how United managed to stay fifth and sixth and still in contention for the top four at the back of draws against the sides that we drew against. And obviously the Everton loss, which was extremely, extremely painful. All of that obviously is now paying off because United have gotten two absolutely brilliant results, two W's from two games we did not imagine United to win. And Michael Carrick does not seem like the kind of manager who will go back, who will sort of lay low, he'll sort of put his legs on the table and feel like we've got this. He's the kind of manager who will change tactics around because the game demands it. He's not one who sits back, lets the game play out. He takes things into his own hands. I would have honestly preferred the Cunha substitution to have come in at halftime. I was strongly in favor of Dorgo being replaced, but look at what he did after that, and look at how Cunha came in the 72nd minute and delivered the goods as he did. This guy knows his ball. Michael Carrick is he's shown that he has the pedigree to manage at the top level. He can be trusted, and I don't think he's going to lay back and jump the gun, sort of believe that United can beat Fulham given the way they have played in the last couple of games. He's going to play tactically. He's going to come up with new strategies. He feels like the guy who will cement a top four for United this season. That is it from my side this time. See you again before the Fulham game. We are back. We are 100% back. Manchester United is fourth, singularly fourth in the table. 15 games to go. No other competitions to play. Champions League is coming in hot next season. Let's go.